Museum. But today's about Tut, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you here today. I said last night, we have been awaiting this show for so many months that I actually feel that I have had Tut as a third child, and I'm sure he will be my most successful child. I said that to one of my sons last night, and it didn't meet with any laughter whatsoever. But in any case, if my sons can do better than the king, I'll be very pleased. Anyway, we're absolutely thrilled to have this show here today. It will be our longest running show, and so we have great hopes for it. I have seen it. I don't think you all have yet, but it is really outstanding. And I was here as a very, very small child 30 years ago when the show opened. However, I have total recall, and I remember with great thrill what it was in the old deYoung. It's hard for me to remember the old deYoung now, but I certainly do remember the show. And I think that the job that we have done in conjunction with AEI has been absolutely outstanding. And Renee Dreyfuss, who was also a very small child at the time and was curator of that show at the time and has done an outstanding job and is a great asset to our museum, was absolutely shining last night as we remembered the little that we could remember as children. But I think you're going to be very, very thrilled with what you see. I would now have great pleasure in introducing someone who is a personal friend, who is a friend of San Francisco, a friend of California, and happily for us, a great friend of the Fine Arts Museums. He is the mayor of San Francisco, may be the governor of California. We have no idea, but he is a wonderful man, and it's great, my great pleasure to introduce Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee, and welcome everybody, and thank you all very much for being here, Mr. Ambassador. It's an honor to have you here. All of the elected officials, I saw Sophie Maxwell run in. I don't know who else is here. We're very grateful you took the time to be here as well. I too, Dee, remember, I think I was in, objectively, I think if I do the math, 79, was 11 years old when I was standing out front on those very, very long lines to get in to see this exhibition. It is indelible in my mind and memory. It is remarkable how much I do recall at a relatively young age the experience of coming to the old deYoung Museum to experience this remarkable display of history. And I think that's incredibly important because that impact is a big part of the reason I am still here. The history of my life was a history of so many other lives of families. I was here until about the age of 12, and then we moved. We moved to public school across the bay. And so many families don't come back. But it's those experiences that define that early age that always connect you back to your place of birth and put you in a position where, given the opportunity, you'll quickly come back. And so I think these things are incredibly important to the fabric of our city, not just in terms of creating memories, but creating and developing a quality of imagination that also unveiled itself when I was here. I mean, the sort of mystery, the intrigue, the history, and all its nuances, dark as well as bright, unveiled itself. And those are important things for young children. And those are things that you never forget. And so I can't wait for the estimated 24,000+ school kids that will have that same experience that I had 30 years ago, as every Monday will be an opportunity for our kids from our public schools to come here for free because of the contributions of Wells Fargo and Mr. Tilden and others that have afforded that privilege and opportunity to tens of thousands of our youth, and others that will make their way here from across not only the Bay Area, but across the state, and we hope from across the country and around the world that will come here as visitors will also have that opportunity to share this remarkable experience. 3,000 years of history, 30 years later, back at the new deYoung Museum. I couldn't be more pleased and more proud that we are here. I want to thank Dee again for her remarkable stewardship. She came into my office with John Buchanan about 6 to 9 months ago and said that the rumor was I couldn't keep a secret. but they were counting on me to keep the secret of this exhibition. No sooner did I hear that than it was in the paper the next day. And I wanted the chance to tell everybody, but nonetheless, there were others that couldn't keep that secret. But we've been very excited to get to this point this Saturday where we'll have an opportunity to have this show extended beyond just that June to September that it was extended in 1979. 1.367 million people came here. It was the most successful of the seven-city tour in the 1970s. It generated well excess, I think it was $108 million that was invested or spent. We got, I think, John, this is what make you very, very pleased, some 78,000 plus more permanent members of the Fine Art Museum because of this tour. That is a big deal. Millions of dollars that were spent directly here. A lot of the money goes back to preserving and saving these antiquities, and that's incredibly important as well. And I think that's important for people to know. This doesn't all just come to San Francisco and to the museum. It goes back appropriately to Egypt, and you'll hear more about that in a moment. And that's obviously something that we're very thankful for, because we're all in this together. And this is a part of our world history. And so we want it shared, and we want it preserved, and we want it protected as much or more than anybody else. And final point, what a summer this is going to be. We have the new Samurai exhibition across from City Hall at the Asian Art Museum. We have a remarkable exhibition that is going to be advanced, Chagall and Russian theater at the Contemporary Jewish Museum this summer. We've got Ansel Adams and Georgia O'Keeffe at San Francisco MoMA this summer. It's about as good as it gets. On the new Academy of Science just across the way. It is a pretty remarkable time, a renaissance of sorts for culture and art and history in the great city and county of San Francisco, and the backdrop is self-evident. It could not come at a better time as we deal with the macroeconomic challenges that face not just the city and county of San Francisco, but notably the great state of California. So congratulations to deYoung, John, thank you, and Dee, thank you to all the trustees, thank you to Cyril Magnum, in memory and in absentia, and Walter Newman that gave us the opportunity in the 1970s when they fought to be that final city. We were not originally on the tour in the late 1970s for getting us there, and I imagine had we not done that, we wouldn't be here today, so it's only appropriate to thank them as well for their contribution to our great city. Welcome, King Tut, to San Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those great remarks and your insights. And you know, it really is remarkable, as Mrs. Wilsey and Mayor Newsom have said, that after 30 years, the allure of the myth and the legend of King Tut and the objects and the artifacts that surrounded him in death has not waned one bit or abated. And in fact, I think probably in large respect, it has accelerated and had a rejuvenation of interest throughout the world thanks to the advances in technology and to the scholarship that has been deployed in the past 3 decades to teach us more about King Tut and his world and his background. The exhibition that you'll see this morning is, what can I say? It's fantastic. The objects are the finest, and we're so grateful to Egypt for their friendship and their generosity in sending us their treasures. I like to say that King Tut is back. He's bigger. He's certainly older, and this time he's brought his family with him. For, in fact, the exhibition that you'll see this morning is 130 objects, opposed to the 50 that came to San Francisco in 1979. And it represents artifacts and works of art from the tombs of his immediate family members, which, as I said, gives us a context for King Tut himself as a person, his line in the pharaonic succession, and his genealogical tree, as it were. King Tut, like all of the exhibitions that we present here at the deYoung and at the Legion of Honor, find their roots and their origins in our own permanent collections of the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco. And as you know, we have a great interest in the ancient world and antiquities. And as Mrs. Wilsey mentioned, that effort has been spearheaded largely through the acumen of our curator, Dr. Renee Dreyfus. Renee and I believe that King Tut, the artifacts in the exhibition that is, give us an incredible opportunity to play to our own interest in ancient art and to Western civilization. And how can you not take the opportunity to bring these hugely significant and rare treasures to our audience here in San Francisco? What we want to do and what we're attempting to do with the King Tut presentation and all of the related programming is to reconnect with individuals who saw the exhibition in 1979, and as importantly, to connect perhaps for the first time to the successive generations of persons who have not had the opportunity to see a King Tut exhibition, much less actually travel to Egypt and see the country and the place, the origins of Tut and these works of art. As Dee mentioned, our exhibition is organized by National Geographic, by Arts and Exhibitions International and AEG Exhibitions, with the great cooperation of the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities. And I want to extend my appreciation to the representatives of those organizations who are here with us this morning and who will speak briefly to us before viewing the exhibition. In addition to Dr. Dreyfus, who shaped the exhibition from our team and on our side, I want to recognize Dr. David Silverman, who is with us. Dr. Silverman was actually the curator of the exhibition in 1979, as he has functioned now to be the curator. David, you must have been about 7 and a child prodigy at that time. Thank you so much for being with us. And I want to recognize Mark Locke of AEI for his design genius in the installation and the lighting of the exhibition that you'll see. American Airlines is the official airlines of the exhibition. Dr. Hawass always has a few entertaining stories about that. Northern Trust is the national cultural partner and sponsor for the exhibition. And as the mayor mentioned, we are just indebted locally to Wells Fargo Bank and Doug Tilden and others for providing scholarship money for any school child in the public school system here in San Francisco to come and see this exhibition. Can you imagine being an 8-year-old in the 3rd grade and seeing this exhibition for the first time? You'd just be beside yourself. And hopefully that will open the doors and opportunities for thousands of school children across our area. Before I introduce our first speaker, I also want to thank greatly the new Consul General of Egypt to San Francisco, Dr. Hashem El-Nakib, for his friendship and his generosity and his embrace of bringing this cultural project to San Francisco. Thank you so much, Consul General. And now it's my pleasure and honor to introduce His Excellency SAMEH SHOUKRY, Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to the United States. We're delighted and fortunate that you and your wife would journey from Washington, D.C., just about after your first 7 months on the job in Washington, D.C., to help us launch this exhibition. Ambassador?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gavin. And it's a pleasure for me to participate in this very important event. And it's an honor to be in this marvelous and magnificent establishment. This is truly a center of culture. It's not only a museum, but I think it is a major point of interest for the Bay Area, for San Francisco. So recently arrived to the United States, I'm also pleased to be in this beautiful city. I never realized how beautiful and how charming and how warm it is. It does, though, seem to be the farthest point in terms of distance from Egypt. But having said that, one can hardly feel that it is that distant. The excitement that's been generated by the presence of this exhibition, by the presence of this boy king here, the advertisements in the streets, the excitement and vibes that one picks up really gives the impression that it is not that far. Egypt has been generous in sharing in its heritage. Our common heritage. This is a heritage of humanity. This is a continuum of where we were and where we have and how we have developed and where we are going. It's, I think, a demonstration of the commonality of our values and our aspirations. And in the United States and for Egypt, it is this exhibition is an indication of the warmth and depth of the Egyptian-American relationship. It is our desire to further strengthen and consolidate and bind the two countries in a very warm and constant friendship that has, I think, over the last 3 or 4 decades been remarkably advantageous for both sides in the promotion of our common interests, in the stability of our region, and in the well-being of the international community. And I think only through continuing these strong relations and promoting them through these types of exhibitions, bringing Egypt closer to the United States and hopefully attracting much more visitors from the United States to Egypt, so that, as was mentioned in President Obama's speech on the 4th of June in Cairo, to break the stereotypes that unfortunately have been raised by those who would like to see less tranquility and less development. So we are delighted to have this opportunity to be in San Francisco. I am honored to have been a participant to this event, and I would like to thank everyone who has made it possible. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to introduce you to John Norman, who is the president of Arts and Exhibitions International, who worked hand in glove with the Supreme Council of Egyptian Antiquities to deliver the exhibition to us. John.
Good morning, and thank you, John. About 5 years ago, Andy Neumhauser, my close friend and business partner, and I flew to Basel, Switzerland. And our goal was to meet with Dr. Zahi Hawass and to convince him to allow Arts and Exhibition, our company, to bring this exhibition back to America. It was our goal to develop, design, and build one of the most spectacular exhibitions in the world. Now, after 6 cities and about 6 million visitors, we're here in San Francisco, and we're very excited to be here. To organize an exhibition of this size and magnitude takes hard work and dedication of a lot of people, and I would like to thank everybody involved with their very hard work in getting this organized. It also takes the support of many corporate sponsors, and I would like to thank Northern Trust and American Airlines for being our national tour sponsors. Most importantly, Andy Neumhauser and I would like to thank Dr. Zahi Hawass and the Supreme Council of Antiquities for their commitment to this project and entrusting us and America with these beautiful and remarkable treasures. I hope you enjoy this exhibition this morning, and thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And now we will hear briefly from the national sponsors for the exhibition. First, Lindy Sherwood-Combs, representing Northern Trust. Lindy?
Thank you, John. It's interesting to me that King Tut is one of the few events in some of our lifetimes that we remember the actual details. You know, whether it's the mayor who came when he was 11, I unfortunately was a little older than 11, or whether it was Mrs. Wilsey who also came. I remember being a kid in Fresno and my parents getting me all dressed up in a dress and coming to San Francisco and putting white gloves on and waiting in line and going through the exhibit. And you just remember every detail. It's fascinating. Thank you so much for having us to here. I'm thrilled to celebrate the beginning of what will be an outstanding event for the city of San Francisco. Northern Trust has been a proud cultural partner of TUTANKHAMUN and the Golden Age of Pharaoh since the tours stopped on the West Coast 4 years ago. The event broke attendance records with more than 1 million people visiting the Los Angeles County Museum of Art during the exhibit's 5-month run. In fact, the exhibit has broken attendance records at virtually all of the stops on its traveling tour, exceeding every museum's admissions record. We are certain that we will see the same outpouring of interest among visitors here in our great city and also from around the world. Sponsoring this exhibition fits perfectly with Northern Trust's commitment to advancing appreciation of art and cultural awareness among the communities that we serve. As viewers walk among the exhibit's fascinating galleries, they will learn about ancient Egypt's civilization and the history of King Tutankhamun and his royal relatives. We hope that many leave this exhibit with a new or renewed interest in learning more about civilizations and cultures. And we hope that this may stimulate the next generation of museum lovers and foster an appreciation for what an incredible resource these institutions are for our communities. For more than a century, Northern Trust has distinguished itself as a sponsor of numerous charities and events, cultural initiatives, and educational endeavors worldwide. Over the years, we have contributed millions of dollars, actually more than 70 million globally during the past 5 years alone, to many terrific philanthropic organizations. While Northern Trust is a global sponsor, we are deeply committed to supporting the local communities in which we live and serve. As we have grown our business in San Francisco over the last 21 years, we have been very honored to be involved in some of the city's most important philanthropic endeavors. Like our clients, we have a true passion for the city's most important key initiatives. Like our clients, we have a true passion for this city and look forward to furthering its profile as a center for the arts. We commend our partners, American Airlines, National Geographic, Arts and Exhibits International, and also the deYoung Museum for bringing this extraordinary cultural and educational experience to our community. Thank you for joining us in this special preview. I had the opportunity to look at it last night, and it's absolutely spectacular. We expect that you will truly enjoy this wonderful exhibit. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindy. And now I'd like to introduce Leo LOANE, representing American Airlines. Leo?
Thank you, John. It's great to be here with you here today. On behalf of American Airlines, I want to thank and send my appreciation to all the sponsors, including National Geographic, Arts and Exhibitions International, Northern Trust, the deYoung Museum, and of course the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities for bringing this exhibition of this magnitude to San Francisco. It's truly wonderful to have a chance to experience the incredible grandness of King Tut and of course the age in which he lived. We do know that access to a global network was important in selecting the cities to host this exhibition. We are thrilled that American Airlines and our cargo division helped make it possible to bring these remarkable objects to the U.S. And with 65 daily flights serving San Francisco and San Jose, American Airlines makes it easy for visitors from across the globe to view this phenomenal display. This exhibition obviously also represents an amazing educational opportunity to see the richness of ancient Egyptian art and culture. My colleagues and I at American Airlines look forward to learning more about the life and times of this boy king who ruled, as you know, more than 3,000 years ago. And it's exciting to know that thousands of visitors and Bay Area families will enjoy it as well. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you so much. And now for the pièce de résistance, and our very special guest of the morning, Dr. Zahi Hawass. In fact, none of us would be seated here today if it were not for really the brilliance and the prowess of Dr. Hawass, who is the #1, the last cry for conservation and preservation of Egyptian sites and antiquities. He is, by title, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities and Director of Excavations. But in my own mind, I see him as King of Egypt / Indiana Jones of Egypt. And I mean that with all due respect to you, Dr. Hawass. He has the most distinguished career that you can possibly imagine. You know that it goes back to discovering the tombs of the pyramid builders at Giza. He was the finder of the satellite pyramid of Khufu, as well as the Valley of the Golden Mummies in Bahariya. Really incredible string of projects, excavations, and discoveries that he has made during his career. Why, in fact, he even led the team that CT scanned King Tut's mummy, a National Geographic sponsored project that tells us more about the health and the welfare and the mortality of individuals who lived in 1332 BC, if you can wrap your mind around that. He has led everyone in the world through the pyramids and through the excavations. Probably over the past couple of weeks, you've seen his photograph in the New York Times and in the International Herald Tribune as he led our President Obama for about an hour and a half through the sites of Egypt. It's everything from supermodels to world leaders, and he knows them all. And if you go to Egypt, there's only one name you need to know. That is Zahi Hawass, and it's my privilege and honor to introduce him to you this morning. Dr. Hawass.
Thank you very much. When I brought this exhibit 5 years ago, I think, with John and Andy to the States, I did say one important thing. There is no free meals anymore. And the reason for that, when we sent this exhibit 30 years ago, Egypt got nothing. No $1 came to Egypt. But this exhibit, actually, most of the money is coming for the preservation of the Egyptian antiquities. But to tell you the story back, I was a young man working as an inspector of the pyramids. And Walter Newman and his wife Irene sent by Sir Magnan to Egypt because they want this to be city number 7. And actually, Walter Newman did go to many places. He could not really meet the person who's the head of antiquities in that time who can permit the exhibit to come to the States, to San Francisco. And it was so difficult really to make this decision because it already signed that only 6 cities to take the exhibit. And I met him. I was living in a rest house in front of the Great Pyramid. And he came to see me, I think, to see something in the pyramid. And I did invite him for dinner in that rest house looking at the pyramid. And he said he's here and because he wants to take this exhibit. And I said, you know, I know the head of antiquities. He was a good friend of mine. I was just like a young man in that time, but I used to know this man. And he was in charge of Sound and Light in that time, and his office was just next to the pyramids. And I took Walter Newman and Irene to meet Mr. Fuad al-Arabi. And in 1 second, he said yes, and he signed that the exhibit could come to San Francisco as the city number 7. And this is why they invited me in 1977 in November. And I came and I stayed a few days for the first time in San Francisco. And I did go to the old deYoung Museum. And what's really strange, that the museum just bought stolen artifacts from Saqqara. And I looked at it and I said to Inouye, the director, this is stolen from Egypt. And if you want King Tut, you have to give this us. And he said, of course, he cannot say no. He gave me the piece and I took it with me back to Cairo. And this is why when I met John Norman and Andy Numhauser, and I said, I want this exhibit to be in San Francisco, in the new deYoung Museum, and to have a very active director, John. I think, I'm telling you, I'm coming to lecture here in March, and I'm hoping in March, John will tell me that we are going to reach 1 million persons to this exhibit. As I said before, that we are making money, and this money goes for the restoration of the monuments. We are building now 19 museums in Egypt. And the largest is the largest museum in the world in the shadow of the pyramids that costing us $700 million. And all the 4,500 artifacts in the Cairo Museum of King Tut will be in this museum. And actually also are building 2 boat museums inside this building. When I took President Obama to see the sun boat or the solar boat at Giza, the 2 of us agreed that the building next door to the Great Pyramid do not fit with the pyramid. And I told him about our plans that we are building, we are going to move this boat as one piece to be in the Grand Museum. We finished the conservation labs. And I'm going to tell you, the conservation labs of the Grand Museum is twice bigger than the deYoung Museum. And therefore you can imagine how this building will be. It will be the most beautiful museum in the world. In the same time, we are building Civilization Museum. We are keeping the Cairo Museum, renovating it now. We are building Akhenaten Museum in Minya. Crocodile Museum will be opened in Komombo next week. Beautiful museums all over Egypt. Also site management program to the Jewish, Coptic, pharaonic monuments. We are restoring 9 synagogues in Egypt. We are restoring the hanging church will be opened in December. We are making site management program to the antiquity sites. Also, we are protecting our monuments. Also making beautiful program to teach children in Egypt and returning stolen artifacts. Actually, we returned until now 5,500 pieces from all over the world. I have to say, not because I'm in the States, that the most important country that helped me a lot in bringing artifacts was United States, especially Homeland Security. This beautiful, wonderful officer, James McAndrew, for 3 years he has been in contact with me because he caught an American who did steal monuments of Egypt, and he was able to return to Egypt back 80 artifacts. The only thing, we have a coffin caught in Miami about a month ago. The only thing that I do tell you, and I need you to support me in that, is at the St. Louis Art Museum, a beautiful mosque has been stolen from Egypt. And I do have the evidence that this mosque excavated in 1952, stolen from the store in Saqqara in 1966. And this man do not want to bring it back, the director of the museum. I wrote to the congressman, I wrote even to the children in schools, don't go to this museum. They made the life of Benjamin, the director, miserable. But he still doesn't want to return this back. But the best news that I'm going to tell you, in 1 month, no, in October this year, I'm sending a letter to the director of Berlin Museum asking and requesting the return of the bust of Nefertiti, because I found now evidence that the bust of Nefertiti left Egypt illegally. And I do have all the evidence, and of course, I need the support of the media everywhere, because this will be the most important piece to come back to Egypt, because I do have the evidence now that Burckhardt, when he found this bust in 1912, he did hide it, and he took it outside from Egypt. Because of San Francisco especially, and my friend partnership with John, I was able to bring 5 new pieces to San Francisco. And this is why this exhibit that you saw in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Philadelphia, here is unique, because you have 5 new pieces. What has happened after King Tut 30 years ago until today? Many new things are happening. The most important thing is the CAT scan of the mummy of King Tut. You remember I found that he died in the age of 19, and he was not murdered, because that hole in the back of the head was opened in Dynasty 18 to put the liquid for mummification. But we found this fracture in the left leg. And people thought in that time, 3 years ago, that he died because of this. But actually, we found evidence now that he died of something else. And we found evidence of the reason of why in his tomb Howard Carter found 133 sticks. 4 of them I examined last week in Cairo Museum. He used them. But actually, I cannot tell you any news about this now, because all of this will be in a press conference in about 2 or 3 months from now, and I will tell you later at the end of this. But the other important thing, that we are also doing the laser scanning of the tomb of King Tut. I believe that the monuments of Egypt, as the monuments of everyone around the world, will be completely deteriorated in 100 years if we do not do action measurement, if we do not protect these monuments. How come 5,000 tourists a day enter in the tomb of King Tut and the tomb of Seti and the tomb of Nefertari? I closed the tomb of Seti for the public and the tomb of Nefertari, but I can't close the tomb of King Tut because of the interest of the people. Then what I am doing now, we are doing the laser scanning of the tomb. We'll make an exact copy of the tomb, and I will make a replica valley. And this replica valley will be able for the tourists to come and maybe pay $1 only to see the replica valley. But in mind, we are saving this tomb because of the legend of King Tut. This legend has to continue for thousands of years. If this tomb will be finished, it will be very bad for the legend of this young boy. We are making this replica valley not only with the tomb of King Tut, but also with the tomb of Seti I and the tomb of Nefertari. These are the only 3 tombs that I'm making replica next door to the rest house of Howard Carter, that in November I'm celebrating to the world the discovery of the tomb. After 86 years, we will make a big celebration in the house of Howard Carter, because this house, I'm changing it now to a museum. It will be opened in November, and we'll invite people from everywhere to give lectures about King Tut. And this will be really something to say that this man was a great man, Howard Carter. I did write a book imagining this tomb I found in 2007. And I did excavate the tomb as Howard Carter did. And I found he did an excellent job. Maybe the only thing that he did that I did not like is damaging the mummy, because he took the golden mask out from the face of King Tut. Then the other important thing that scanning actually the mummy was very important to tell us this kind of news. Also, moving the mummy of King Tut, when I found that 5,000 people a day, the breathing and the dust could finish the mummy. This is why I designed a showcase in Germany, protected with equipment to control humidity and heat, and I moved the mummy from the sarcophagus to the coffin nearby, that every tourist who comes to the tomb now for the first time can look at the left and see the mummy of King Tut, this golden face that I never forget in my life. When I moved this mummy for the first time 3 years ago, and I looked at the face, it was the most beautiful moment in my life, meeting King Tut face to face. And that is really when I began to be interested in King Tut. I was interested all my life in the pyramids. I entered in the treasury room one day by accident, which Howard Carter found the Anubis shrine. I found that he left artifacts in a basket that no one knows anything about it. I did examine them. I found these are the seals that sealed the tomb rooms, with the name of TUTANKHAMUN and TUTANKHAMUN and the seal of the cemetery. And also, when I did go to the store in the West Bank of Luxor, I found that Howard Carter left many artifacts in the store in the West Bank of Luxor that many people doesn't know about them, and really beautiful artifacts. But the most important thing that I liked is collecting London Times that Howard Carter used to read every day, because they gave exclusive to London Times to write about the discovery, and therefore the other newspaper were interested in writing about the curse of TUTANKHAMUN. Then I really did bring all this newspaper, restoring them in Cairo, because this is a part of the history of the discovery of the tomb. I found recently, about 2 months ago, some blocks underneath a house next door to the Great Pyramid. This blocks, one is showing King Tut smiting an enemy, and the second block showing King Tut shooting an arrow, and his wife is leaning beside him. And that is a proof that King Tut had a palace at Memphis because he was fond in hunting wild animals. Also, at the same time, these artifacts, as I told you, will be moved in 5 years to the Children's Museum. Major important discoveries are happening. I said last night in my remarks, the year 2009 and 10 will be the best life in my life. Because you remember 3 months ago, we found this new pyramid at Saqqara that made the number of pyramids in Egypt to be 123 pyramids. We are restoring the Step Pyramid now, the oldest pyramid in Egypt. And actually, you will not believe how it's fascinating to restore this pyramid. And we have the young man, archaeologist Mahmoud, who's my assistant, which I brought him to see the exhibit and to meet all of you because of his good work in restoring the Step Pyramid and also the Serapeum. You remember in 2002 in Fox TV Live, I did send a robot to reveal the secrets of the doors inside the pyramid. And we found 2 doors in the northern tunnel, and the tunnel is about 20 by 20 centimeter. In the northern tunnel, we found a 3rd door. July 26, I'm starting with another Hong Kong robot and English robot to reveal the secrets behind these doors. And I hope that we'll find something interesting behind these doors. I really think that the tomb of Cheops is still hidden inside the pyramid, and these doors are like the key to hide them. The other important thing that I'm searching for the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony in a temple about 30 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 30 miles west of Alexandria. We have been excavating in this temple for the last 3 years. We found statues of Cleopatra. We found coins of Cleopatra, a big, large cemetery outside the temple, proving that, there is someone important is buried inside the temple. Also, I'm excavating right now in the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings, 63 tombs were found. No one single tomb were found by the Egyptian. And I'm excavating right now in front of the tomb of King Tut, thinking, because the Valley of the Kings, the tomb of Ramses VIII is not found. The tomb of Thutmose II is not found. All the queens of Dynasty 18 were buried there, even Queen Nefertiti. I'm hoping to end my career by making the discovery of the tomb KV64. And this is really the excavation that I want to stay all my life working there. And we discovered until now major important things, just waiting to discover the tomb. Also, we are restoring this unique tunnel in the tomb of Seti. We entered inside now for 125 feet, and we did not come to the end of this tunnel yet. But I believe that this could be a symbolic tunnel. No, because we found many artifacts in this tunnel. We hope, as people say, that maybe the end of the tunnel could lead us to the discovery of the burial chamber of Seti I. In the Valley of the West Bank of Luxor, you remember we demolished some houses and we built new houses for the people, and we found only last week 6 new tombs of nobles' tombs were located underneath the houses. The most important thing that I'm doing now is revealing the mystery of the family of King Tut using DNA and CAT scan machine. You have to know, what do we have from King Tut's family? We have King Tut, we have Yoya and Toya, mummy, we have Amenhotep III, mummy, we have the skeleton found in KV55 that someone believed this could be Akhenaten, and we have the 2 fetuses that Howard Carter found inside the tomb. What we do not have? The mummy of Queen T. the mother of King Tut. Who wouldn't know? The wife of King TUTANKHAMUN is in Amun. Where is her mommy? The mommy of Nefertiti. And who is the father of King Tut? Actually, one important thing. We have a beautiful result now from the first DNA lab. We took all the results now to the second DNA lab. In 1 month, we'll see if it's sure or not. And after that, we will publish everything in a scientific magazine. And I told to everyone, a big, important press conference will be in San Francisco, I hope, and Cairo, to announce for the first time that really we solved the puzzle of the family of King Tut, and also we found exactly how King Tut died. But I cannot tell you now. I will tell you in about 2 months from now, and thank you.
I think you all join with me in sharing our delight at the remarks and the insights of Dr. Hawass. And now for what you came, seeing King Tut, I'll ask those who have red dots on their name tags to come down and go first. Jill Lynch in the red dress is ready to escort you. Renee Dreyfus and David Silverman will remain in the room for interviews with any of you with blue and yellow. And I'll ask Mrs. Wilsey and the mayor to go with Dr. Hawass now.